Thank you for joining Habitat for Humanity as a Build Day volunteer. As fun and rewarding as it is to build a home with Habitat, safety always comes first. Build sites can be dangerous, so it's paramount to be properly trained before you work. That's why we want to review the rules and procedures necessary for a safe and productive build experience. Upon arrival at the job site, you'll meet with the site supervisor or safety manager. You'll have a morning group safety discussion at the start of the workday to review procedures specific to what you'll be working on that day. The qualified first aid personnel will also be identified to you, along with the location of first aid supplies. Please let your house leader, the site supervisor, or the safety manager know if there are any tasks you're uncomfortable doing. These are the key on-site go-to personnel that every volunteer should know before beginning work. If you have any questions throughout the day, just ask. Safety starts with what you wear to the site. We require all volunteers to wear pants or overalls that fit properly and have legs without cuffs. Short pants are unacceptable on a construction site, as a worker's legs would be unprotected against skin surface injury. Similarly, t-shirts are okay, but no sleeveless shirts such as tank tops may be worn on the site. Jackets should be kept buttoned. Sleeves should also be buttoned or rolled up. You should dress comfortably, but don't wear loose or baggy clothing. Wear clothing that's appropriate for the work and weather conditions. Summer heat can be a hazard, so be sure to drink plenty of fluids and drink often. Heat exhaustion is triggered by excessive sweating and not drinking enough fluids. Serious cases of heat injury can lead to life-threatening heat stroke. Take rest breaks. Don't wear jewelry or watches, and if possible, leave purses and wallets at home. Wear CSA-approved steel-toed footwear anytime you're working on the site. Hard hats are mandatory at all times on the build site, no matter what the task. Only hard hats approved by the supervisor or safety manager are allowed. Wear gloves, especially if you're carrying materials or involved in cleanup activities. Hand protection is important and in many cases prevents cuts and blisters. However, hand protection is not recommended while working with rotation tools that can catch your glove and pull your hand into the machinery. Wear appropriate respiratory protection when working with insulation or in dusty areas. Respiratory protection must be properly matched to the job task, and your site supervisor can help you with this. Safety glasses or goggles are always recommended and are mandatory on some build sites in Canada. Safety glasses are required when working near flying debris, such as sawdust, and if you're near flying metal shavings or concrete chips, you'll need to wear a face shield as a second layer of protection. Construction sites can be pretty dusty places, so if you normally wear contact lenses, you should wear glasses instead. Corrective eyewear needs to meet safety standards as well. On the side frame of the glasses, look for a stamp. The stamp means that your glasses meet safety standards. If your glasses don't have this stamp, then you'll need to wear goggles over your standard glasses. Hearing protection can also be required around some power equipment. On-site safety manuals typically include material safety data sheets which are available to review necessary precautions before using any products. These sheets recommend protective equipment, outline health hazards associated with the product, and explain cleanup procedures. Before you go into a work area, survey the area to identify potential hazards. There's a lot going on a construction site, so you need to be aware of your surroundings and what people around you are doing. Start by looking at ground level, then look at the area within your reach. Then, finally, check out what's going on overhead. There may be temporary power lines and other obstructions. Be aware at all times of objects that can potentially fall from the roof. As we mentioned, you are required to wear hard hats at all times. Implement the buddy system where you keep an eye on a fellow volunteer. Don't be afraid to tell that person to stop working if he or she doesn't look well. If the volunteer resists, alert the construction supervisor. Accept your buddy's recommendations as well if he or she suggests you take a break. Whatever your age or physical condition, don't lift heavy items or work from heights beyond your comfort or capacity. We want all volunteers to be and feel safe at all times. So if you're ever asked to do something you feel is unsafe, please do not do it and notify your site supervisor. Ask for the location of the emergency action plan and take time to review it. Every work site has a first aid kit that's clearly visible along with an emergency contact phone list. Be aware of your surroundings, especially when carrying long objects. Note where your coworkers are and what they're doing, and don't back up or move in any direction where you don't have a clear line of sight. And when you're up on a roof, never back up. If you have basic hand tools, bring them. Hammers, tape measures, carpenter's pencils, tool belts, basic woodworking tools. We have a limited number of tools available, so it's a big help if you have your own. If you do bring your own tools, they must be in good condition and be approved by the site supervisor. Please do not bring handmade tools or tools that you have modified. Make sure your tools are sharp and properly adjusted and that the handles are in good condition and are on tight. If you don't have your own tools, don't worry. We'll do everything we can to accommodate. Dull tools are hazardous to use because excessive force must be used to make them work. Hold and use your tools correctly and always carry them with care. If you do bring personal tools, make sure they're identifiable as yours. With so many people on a build site, it's easy for someone to think your tape measure or hammer is a Habitat tool. Brightly colored tape is a good way to quickly spot your tools and let others know they're not Habitat property. We can't overstress the importance of exercising extreme care when using power tools. A serious injury can easily occur if you're not familiar with the correct procedures of operating power tools. So before you operate a power tool, make sure you ask for training and understand all safety procedures involved. In general, if you use it correctly, you'll use it safely. Don't forget to inspect the tool for defects or safety hazards before use. Also, make sure what you're cutting is properly supported and that your power saw is properly adjusted and tightened. Inspect cords to make sure they're in good condition and keep all power and extension cords out of walkways to prevent trip hazards. You should also inspect the extension cords to ensure there are no cuts or exposed wire on the extension cord before use. If you detect a concern, please raise this concern with your supervisor to ensure the damaged extension cord is tagged for repair and taken out of service. Always use outlets that have ground fault circuit interrupters or GFCIs, or use an external GFCI at the power source. Ground pins need to be on all extension cords and grounded tools. However, it's acceptable to use double insulated tools that were not manufactured with a ground pin. Make sure the blade is clear before starting a saw. A jarring kick can occur if the blade is touching the wood when you power it on. Table saws must have guards installed and be in good working condition, and remember, never to reach under material being cut. With saws and power tools, always unplug them when adjusting blades, drill bits, or other accessories. Nail guns are seldom used on a Habitat build site as they can be very dangerous when used without proper training. So please, use hammers only. Good housekeeping refers to the overall neatness and orderliness of the build site. A well-ordered work site is a proven component of accident prevention, so a clean job site is absolutely essential. Lumber or piles of trash should not be lying around. Such trip hazards can cause serious injury. Please keep track of the tools you're using, and when you're done with them, put them in a safe place so they don't become a trip hazard for you or someone else. And if you see something lying around, please pick it up. If you see a nail or a screw sticking out of a board, remove it or hammer it down. We're responsible for the safety of ourselves and our co-workers on the job site. To work safely with either hand tools or power tools, make sure you're on firm, solid ground. Do not try to work over rough piles of dirt or on stacks of material that are unstable, and always watch for slippery conditions. Be aware of excavated trenches or holes, gaps in the floors, steep drop-offs, or other hazards. Only trained workers are allowed in or near an excavation, so stay 6 feet or more away from the edge. Holes in floors should have covers or guardrails around them, and never leave a hole unattended. In general, good housekeeping is the best way to prevent fires. Flammable and combustible liquids must be properly stored and clearly marked. Locate fire extinguishers and learn how to operate them before beginning work. And always keep containers such as paint thinner closed when not in use. There are usually temporary overhead power lines on site, so be extra careful while carrying ladders and lumber. Aluminum ladders and long-handled tools are not allowed near overhead power lines. Damp conditions can conduct electricity, causing shock and serious injury, even death, and could possibly start a fire. And please, no smoking on the build site. Ladder safety is another area that requires your attention. We often take ladders for granted, but not following guidelines can cause serious injury. Always check the condition of the ladder before using it, and if you spot a problem, alert your construction leader. Only one person should climb a ladder at a time, and there should always be a person steadying the ladder for the climber. Do not use the top 2 steps or the braces of the ladder. They are not intended for climbing. Step ladders can only be used when fully opened and spreader bars locked. Never exceed the ladder's posted load limits. The ground surface should be level and solid. If the surface is not level, make sure to secure the ladder base to stabilize it from accidental movement. Use the rubber pads on solid surfaces like concrete, and use swivel spikes in soil or gravel. Use the 4-to-1 rule. For every 4 feet in height, the ladder should be 1 foot out from the house. Ladders extending onto the roof should extend at least 3 feet past the roof. The same rule applies when working with scaffolding. Always face a ladder when climbing up or down, and always have both hands free to use the 3 points of contact rule, with 2 hands and 1 foot. When stepping off the top of the ladder to another walking surface, be sure the upper part of the ladder is secure to prevent accidental movement of the ladder. Always keep the exit points clean and clear of debris to prevent ankle twists or tripping hazards. Most Habitat for Humanity construction sites use some form of scaffolding. The most common types found on our sites are fabricated welded, pump jack, and bracket scaffolding. Falls from scaffolding can happen as a result of improper access, improper decking, unstable footing, collapse, and/or missing parts. Meet with your site supervisor for training on how to use the scaffolding at your build site. Even though many Habitat for Humanity projects do not allow volunteers to work at any task above 3 meters, all workers must understand the importance of working at heights safely. Falls are one of the most frequent and often most severe injuries on job sites. When working from heights, always move slowly and carefully. Only workers trained and certified in working at heights are allowed on roof details or at heights exceeding 3 meters. The trained worker must always use the proper fall protection system for the task and inspect the equipment before use. In some jurisdictions, guardrails may be used for roof edge protection, but use extreme caution when you're near them. Railings do have a 200-pound maximum force design, so do not sit or lean on them. Lifting and carrying involve simple rules, but they can be easy to forget. When lifting, stand close to the load, bend at the knees, not your waist, and lift by straightening your legs and keeping your body as vertical as possible. Do not underestimate the weight of an item. If it feels heavy or is too bulky to see over or around, be sure to get someone to help you move it. Always check for a clear walking path before you start your lift, and when possible, use available steps and stairways to prevent leg, ankle, foot, or back injuries. Remember, most of what we discussed is just good common sense, but sometimes we forget things that are obvious. Forgetting is dangerous on a build site. Safety is number 1, and if you spot an unsafe situation, calmly point it out. If you're not sure about how to do something, just ask. And if you feel uncomfortable about how things are being done, tell your construction leader. Thanks for your attention and for volunteering your time with Habitat for Humanity. By maintaining a safe build site at all times, we'll be able to appreciate the strength, stability, and self-reliance we're building for a local family in need of affordable housing.